now it's the Rob from 106.1 KISS FM here with my tag team partner in podcasting,
Eric Cornish here with WKDQ, and welcome to another Enhancement Talent. It is, well, Monday after yet another big event / pay-per-view with the Elimination Chamber, which kind of popped out of nowhere.
Yes.
So after the show, lots of things happened last night that people are talking about. But overall, what did you think of the show?
Well, it was a more eventful show than the one 2 weeks ago. As far as in the ring, I thought it was a good show. The one 2 weeks ago, what was that? Payback.
Yeah.
Payback, I thought was a little better in the ring, but this one was great. You want to start with the good?
Sure. Let me give you an overall impression. I did think it was an interesting show. I think a lot of things got accomplished. However, I thought something was disjointed about the show.
Okay. What do you mean by disjointed?
I don't know if it was the action in the ring. I think it had something to do with the crowd, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I think the crowd was not your typical crowd. I mean, the Corpus Christi, Texas is not a pay-per-view location that they typically go.
Right.
And this one, I guess, was already scheduled as a live event, and then they made it into a pay-per-view.
Yeah, a lot of people who bought tickets to a house show got a free pay-per-view.
Exactly. So maybe that's a part of it, you know, when you have just a pay-per-view dropped in your lap. I mean, it was Sunday, but it felt like, you know, like a Tuesday in Texas. I
can understand that comparison.
I think it may be the crowd a little bit. I think the crowd was not as smart of a crowd or not as vocal of a crowd as you might get in some bigger cities. But anyway, that was my biggest problem. But as we get through some of the specifics, I'll explain as well. Do you want to kind of just go through some of the card, or do you want to pull out your highlights? What do you think?
We can go through it. The first match was the first Elimination Chamber. I thought it was as good as a tag team Elimination Chamber match could possibly be, and that's not a complaint. I had lower expectations for it, and they over-delivered a little bit. I like some of the innovative spots there. Some seem very forced. You know, it's exciting to see somebody climb to the tippy top of that cell, but it didn't look right to me, you know, so you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt about this match, and I think I had a little more negative taste in my mouth over this match than you did. It sounds like I didn't like it. I didn't like the first match at all. I thought too many people, first of all. I mean, because, when you consider you've got 12 people in the first place, then you add
two more,
a bowl, and then you add, I mean, everything that they did was forced. I feel like those big spots. Kalisto, they're trying to make Kalisto such a big star just because of all of the innovative moves that he does. Well, he tried to do way too much, and it all looked forced. It all looked very slow, and it's not his explosiveness.
Those two words are exactly the way I would describe his run in that ring. Forced and slow.
Yeah, and he's not, I mean, that's not his style. Mm-hmm. His style is to keep it on the mat or coming off the ropes quickly. And you can't do that in an Elimination Chamber. So the climbing, on top of the pod and getting his leg pulled through, and just everything he did, it was just not solid in this case. And that's not his fault, but I think it was just trying to do the kind of spots he was doing.
It felt like he was perched on top of that chamber for the entire match.
Really, yeah.
And that's also keeping in mind that there was somebody perched on top of the chamber for the entire match, and that was Torito.
Yeah.
You know, so that was maybe I'm giving it too much credit, but okay, let me throw some positives at you. I thought the New Day did some good stuff, and not just because we're best friends, but because they did.
Yes.
I
did. I loved what they did.
Yeah. Locking Xavier in the chamber, I thought was a cool little touch, and then getting him back out. And I loved, first of all, like their heelish ways of getting the third person into the match.
Yeah.
And then their heelish ways of winning with all three guys on top of
it was Titus.
Titus O'Neil.
Yeah.
That to me was a good finish. I thought they did well.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I think everything they're doing is great. And I think the fact that they're, getting put into some higher profile stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, you look now, Kofi Kingston's going to be in the Money in the Bank match, which, normally that's for some extra spots. But I think he's earned that role for doing what he's done, as part of this team. So.
And let me also say that for a moment, I did think the primetime players could be the new tag team champions. Yeah, for a moment.
A split second, but I thought there's no way that they're going to overcome these odds. They're going to have to.
My thought was that's what great baby faces do. They overcome odds like that. So I thought it could have happened.
So they may be the next ones in line for this tag team feud, which I kind of hate to see with Cesaro and Kid, but maybe they've got some other things coming their way. And keep the tag team division fresh. Keep moving things around. Remember, we've still got the Usos, who, one of which is injured, and we've got the Mega Powers, who, whatever, they are who they are, and then we've got a great team who is definitely in the running, I would think,
Harper
with
and Wyatt,
Harper and Rowan. I mean, so tag team division is healthy. I will say that. But the match, a little sloppy. But it's an elimination chamber with 14 guys in it. So what are you gonna do?
Were the Divas up next?
I believe so. Yeah. The Divas match, another weird match.
I have to be honest. I was doing other things during this match. I wasn't paying attention.
And I tell you what, and I don't know if Paige got injured early on in the match, but I felt like she did, because I saw her take. It was one of those knee bumps to where her head goes into Nikki's knee.
Okay.
And I felt like she got knocked out briefly. I don't know if I was the only one that noticed this, but after that, Paige was a step off through the entire match. She missed a couple spots. She was holding her head the entire time.
Okay.
And she looked like she was out on her feet. So that hurt it for me, because that's all I could focus on was her. I was surprised that Nikki retained. Very surprised, actually.
Yeah, I called that one, though.
You did.
I wasn't sure about it, but...
that one surprised me. I didn't. That one, another just very disjointed match for me. So it started off very rocky, in my opinion.
Okay, sure.
Then we get to some cool stuff, because
Cena and Owens next.
Cena and Owens. I mean, you want to talk about something that everybody was talking about and how they still are, and Owens getting that victory was huge. And I hate that I second guessed myself in our last episode, because I did. I first said, I just see Owens winning, and he has to win. And then I second guessed myself and said that Cena would win by disqualification. But that victory is exactly what I saw happening when I first saw this thing. However, I will say it took about 10 minutes for that match to get going. It got a lot of time, but it took 10 minutes before things really started happening in that match, because it kind of bored me to begin with.
Okay, here is what I think about the match. The match was a great match. Some people calling it 5 stars. I wouldn't give it that much credit, but a great match. The match, to me, whereas you said it took like 10 minutes to get going, I definitely agree with that. It took a little while to get going, and then when it did get going, it turned into a spot fest for me.
Yes.
With no ebb and flow, with no psychology, just get to the next spot. And while it looked good and it was memorable and it was a match unlike we've ever seen Cena in, I thought that it lacked the psychology that I kind of wanted.
No, I agree. And there were a couple spots. One thing, Michael Cole said it all in the middle of this match. Michael Cole said, "These guys are kicking out of everything." And I went, "Yeah, they are.
Right.
Stop it."
I kind of agree. Yeah.
Cena should never use the AA as a finisher again, based on the last month and a half.
Because Owens and other people have been
everyone's kicked out of it. It's always looked dumb anyway. Just get rid of it. Not that the springboard stunner looks any cooler, but at the same time, whatever. I thought the move that Owens did off the rope when he reversed the superplex, I went, that's the finish, and it wasn't, and that was an awesome move, by the way.
There was like a teardrop power bomb where picked him up with his legs over his head. Yeah. I mean, there was some cool stuff that I had never, A, seen before, and B, definitely not seen in a Cena match before. It got the job done. See, here's the thing. There's a few things I like and dislike about Kevin Owens, and I'll do it quickly in a nutshell. I do like that he looks different than the rest of the roster. It doesn't bother me that, people are calling him sloppy and fat, whatever. I get that, but that's okay. He's bringing a brawler style that we haven't seen in quite a long time. Something like Mankind used to do, or Bruiser Brody, or something like that, where he's very explosive, high impact. You don't need, he's not a mat wrestler kind of thing. But I don't like that while he looks different, I know at least 2 people that look exactly like him. And you could see him on the street and not think he's anything special. Right. You know what I mean?
And that's okay to me. I don't think every wrestler has to look like John Cena or Randy Orton. But there's a certain air about it. And it's not his look, it's not the way he wrestles so much as it is his confidence, his promos are solid. I mean,
When he said some veteran advice, I marked out.
Loved it.
That was awesome.
So, but that's big. We'll talk more in depth about Kevin Owens and his future coming soon, I'm sure. But let's talk about Bo Dallas and Neville. I thought was a pretty decent match.
I was doing laundry during that match. I'm not gonna lie.
It was a good match. Bo looks better than he has in a while. Neville pulls off the good win. It was a solid match. That's all you can really say about that. The Elimination Chamber for the Intercontinental title. Again, kind of slow, kind of disjointed, I thought. But I like that Ryback got the victory.
I've never been a fan of the Elimination Chamber, really. They don't always yield to bad matches, but they're just always, there's something weird about them.
Yeah.
This match suffered from that, too. Sheamus did a good job of trying to be memorable, especially because a lot of people going into it probably thought he was going to win. Ryback winning was a true surprise. I definitely didn't put him in the upper half of likely to win that match.
Yeah, no, he was my second choice there, but
Mark Henry was a strange choice to replace Rusev.
I thought so too.
Yeah. So now I'm understanding your disjointed comment. There's a lot of strange things.
Yeah, because Mark Henry at that point, it's like, okay, cool, yeah, he belongs in there, but at the same time, like if you're trying to replace Rusev and kind of get the crowd popping, I don't think like that was necessarily the way to do it. It was like, oh, okay, yeah, Mark Henry. You know, you're a guy that's been around consistently for about 20 years. It's,
sure.
You know, a guy like Bray Wyatt would have been cool, or just randomly throw somebody in there. You know, that we didn't expect to be in there. You know, Kevin Owens, that would have been cool, but for obvious reasons,
sure.
You don't want to put him in there. But so anyway, just nothing much to say about that one. It just is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it was what it was. They had me going for a second with Sheamus locked in that chamber, you know, for a little. Eventually, I thought it was going too long.
Right.
But I kind of liked how he picked his spot, and I also liked how, was it Mark Henry who got unleashed a little early in that match?
Yeah.
That was kind of neat.
With the bulletproof glass
shattered
yet again.
Think about the force behind that bulletproof glass.
And then you got the main event with a Dusty Rhodes finish, baby.
Very dusty at the end of that.
It's been a while since we've seen something like that, so I'm okay with that. I don't care. It doesn't bother me that they did the whole false switch over with the referee.
There was something, again, disjointed about the match because I didn't believe what I was seeing. I just knew it wasn't going to stand. I didn't know what the reason would be, but I knew Ambrose was not the new champion. And my girlfriend was buying it all the time, and she's like, why are you saying this isn't happening? Because I'm like, well, I just know better.
Yeah.
I just know this isn't what's happening right now. But it wasn't clear at first.
Yeah.
Maybe the celebration went too long. I was getting comfortable with him as champion for a second. I was trying to rationalize in my head. But then, of course, the ref woke up and changed things up.
Yeah, and interesting that we didn't see what both of us kind of talked about, and that's Roman Reigns kind of making a turn. He was involved, but at the same time, it's coming. It's got to be.
Sure.
It's something there. I still see SummerSlam is a couple pay-per-views away. I see a triple threat for the title somehow, whether there's a turn or not, but I see Roman Reigns with a little heel edge here.
Well, I see the title being involved with Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, but maybe not.
Well, here's one other thing that I talked about this morning with our buddy Travis, and he said, let me throw something out to you. And he said, you're not going to agree with it, but by the time he finished, I went, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Go ahead.
And here's what I'm thinking. Okay, we've already got a rematch coming up at the next pay-per-view between Cena and Owens. It doesn't appear that that's for the title, for either title. I see Owens winning again. I see Owens winning, maybe a little more dastardly, maybe not so clean this time, but still winning again. Brock comes back looking for his title shot, and they're not going to give it to him. The authority says, you caused all kinds of chaos and havoc, and when you left, you got to work your way back up. Who steps up to the plate? Kevin Owens. Can you imagine that match at SummerSlam? And at that point, I'm cool with Lesnar, getting the victory. But that could be interesting.
Well, I'll just say this. I think that the Shield triple threat match could happen, but I see it before SummerSlam.
Okay.
Because there's still Money in the Bank and then whatever July's pay-per-view is. Right?
Yeah, Battleground.
Okay.
Louis,
so that will, I think that there's a few opportunities to make money off of that match. So, by the way, my least favorite thing about this show, and to go along with just being disjointed and odd, 2 weeks before and after a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
That's my least favorite thing about the show was not the show itself. It was just, I don't need all these. The more super shows you have, the less super they become.
Yeah, and you use the Elimination Chamber as a gimmick, and then you use it into matches that really didn't have a ton of consequence. And I mean, other than a new Intercontinental Champion, but also probably two of the worst matches on the card, I thought. But
should we give it a letter grade?
I'll give it a C minus. Actually, that's what I'm giving it. C minus.
Gonna go with a B minus.
Okay.
Personally, the in-ring was solid. I thought, especially that Owens match was really good. Yeah. So I'm gonna give it a B minus personally.
But what we are getting, what I do like about this, you do see things are changing in WWE. There are obvious changes being made. I know we've said that before, but they're glaring changes when you see a guy like Owens beat Cena clean, and then and some of the other guys that you see in key roles. Things are changing. They're looking to make a new era that they haven't been able to do before.
It's no matter what you thought of the show last night, we're still in an awesome time of wrestling where a lot is going on, a lot's changing, and a lot's happening. So there you go. Those are our thoughts on last night's Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. We're always open to your feedback. You can leave us a comment, or you can email us. Our email addresses are right there on the bottom of the screen. You ready to sign off?
Let's do it. Have a great week, and we'll catch up with you later on down the road.